Well, when you hear a lot of talk about war fatigue, that's one of the things that he wants to do. And once again, it has never been in his comfort zone to be the commander-in-chief. I think he was far more comfortable in accepting the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's looking to move away from that and reestablish himself with the anti-war left. But once again, the thing that you always have to understand, Sean, is you can say as the commander-in-chief of our forces that combat operations is over, but the enemy still has a vote.
What did you think when the president went lawyer shopping after he rejected the views of his top lawyers at the Pentagon and the Justice Department as it relates to their position on the War Powers Act and his need to go to Congress to get approval for the ongoing, I'm sorry, they're not hostilities. Even though bombs are being dropped, war is being waged, he tells us it's not hostilities, for the ongoing something in Libya. Do you think that the president, do you think there's some culpability there? Do you think he's thumbing his nose at the law, picking and choosing which laws he wants? And is that an error on his part?
Well, absolutely right. I do believe that. That's one of the big discussions we had today because the War Powers Act is very specific. There's no ambiguity in the language there. And I have to disagree with Senator McCain. I don't think that Libya is an operation that we should be in. We have a very nebulous mission and objectives. And the thing is that those people that are participating in that operation are receiving imminent danger pay. So I think that there are hostilities over there. And if you're having a bomb dropped on your head, that is definitely a hostile action. The actions in Libya do not meet the criteria that is found in the War Powers Act. The president has had the 60 days to come and get the authorization for a military force and the use thereof from the Congress. He has not done that. He sent a very nebulous report that came from some underlings in the Department of Defense and Department of State. So we have a crisis that we have to stand up and abide by the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, and you're going to see the House of Representatives exert itself, and this is not a partisan issue.
He's given the former President Clinton a run for his money on parsing words. Now we're defining what the term hostility means. Good to see you, Colonel. Thanks so much for being with us. Good luck in Congress.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, Sean.
Now, it has been a rough week for the Anointed One, and the latest poll numbers may spell doom for his re-election campaign. They're not looking good. We're going to tell you why when we come back. We'll be joined by Sandra Smith and Monica Crowley. They are here with analysis. And how much did Attorney General Eric Holder know? What did he know? When did he know it? About a gun running program that saw over 1,700 weapons move from the U.S. into Mexico. Did he know about it? We're going to find out. Michelle Malkin investigates. She's next. If yesterday's dramatic 9-point swing in the president's approval rating wasn't bad enough news for the Obama administration, well, today's poll numbers bring him even more depressing statistics. Now, a national poll conducted by Bloomberg News shows that just 30% of Americans say they will definitely vote to re-elect the Anointed One come 2012. 36% say they will definitely vote against him, while 27% say they will at least consider another candidate. Now, that's not the worst of it. Just 23% of independent voters, who are certain to be a key voting bloc in the upcoming elections, say they will pull the lever for President Obama next year, while 36% say they are certain to vote against him. Now, regardless of who Republicans select as their candidate, it looks like the president will face an uphill battle. Joining me now with analysis of the Anointed One's sinking, tanking poll numbers from the Fox Business Network, Sandra Smith, and nationally syndicated radio talk show host. She's also a Fox News contributor, Monica Crowley here. These numbers are disastrous.
Absolutely disastrous, and it's a direct function, Sean, of the catastrophic Obama economy. Americans have had enough of 9.1% unemployment, no job creation, anemic economic growth, a collapsing housing sector, personal economic unease. They don't know what's coming next in this economy, and also the sense that the United States of America, which should be on a traditional rocket path of job creation and growth, is teetering on the brink. They've had enough of it.
And you heard Bernanke today. No, I guess for the time being, no QE3. What is going to be the output of the outcome of all this? And then on top of it, Democrats are talking about another stimulus plan. Have they not learned their lesson?
Yeah, stimulus, more spending. But I think at the end of the day, the American people see all this happening. And Sean, probably one of the scariest numbers in this poll was 44% of people feel that they're worse off today than they were two years ago. Sean, let me tell you where we were 2 years ago. We were still technically in the recession. If you look at the numbers, technically we didn't come out of the recession until June 2009. People are saying, hey, we felt better then than we do today. By the way, that was also just a couple months after the financial crisis and all these banks were failing.
It's
we
a great
feel
point.
Worse now.
That 44% number, there are two other other poll numbers that interested me. 55% said their children are destined for a lower standard of living, and 2/3, 66%, say they think the country is on the wrong track. How does he recover? How is it possible? Bernanke also said that these economic conditions are going to continue well into 2012.
Yes. Now, the Fed today also downgraded the economic outlook for the rest of the year. Bernanke comes out today and basically says, well, I can't really explain why we've gone down this path of economic downturn. If he's clueless about why there's been a slowdown in the economy, he has no business being the Fed chairman, by the way.
Did you see this HBO special?
I did, yeah.
If that was what really happened, right. I am scared. I want to take my money, put it under my mattress.
Every American should be scared to death if these are the folks who are in charge. And Tim Geithner is still the Treasury Secretary, by the way. I think from a political vantage point, those numbers are very toxic for Obama. You look at the independents that are hemorrhaging away from him. You look at a 66% on the wrong track number. If that holds through the election, he is toast. That's the end of the game for him.
Let me go to some numbers that I know you follow, Sandra, on a regular basis, and that is this year alone, the CBO projects that public debt will reach 70% of GDP, up from 62% last year. The historical average is what, around 20%, a little below 20%?
Right, it was just 40% a couple years ago.
Okay, just 40%. They predict by 2021 it's 91%, and I'm sorry, 101%.
Yeah.
So in 10 years from now,
we're back to all-time highs, the highest we've ever been, debt to GDP.
Well, yeah.
But it gets worse. We're talking about, by the year 2035, the Congressional Budget Office also said today, we're going to rise to a level of 190%. Sean, very simply, that says that we're going to be spending twice as much as we're actually taking in and earning in this country. These numbers are staggering, and they're only getting worse.
And you know what? To put that in perspective, Greece right now, which is in an absolute catastrophe and collapse, their ratio of debt to GDP is 150%.
Right.
So we're going to hit 70%
They predict
now.
that by 2030.
Exactly.
You know, so it's not very far away.
We're on a glide path to being Greece.
Yeah, we're 19 years away from that number. It was interesting because James Carville even suggested that, you know, what we see when austerity measures are applied, we will see in America. I mean, is this?
We have to. We have no choice. I mean, Monica just said the numbers. We are on the route of that of Greece, of what we've seen over there. In fact, we're on a much worse path right now, and no one is stepping forward with a way to cut the budget and cut the deficit.
You know what I resent? So basically, we're going to get to the point, if people have any level of success they've achieved in their life, they paid into Social Security. Every job I've had since I'm 12 years old, I paid into Social Security. They'll say they'll legally, steal everybody's money because they misappropriated
and
funds.
Say sorry about that. Look, there are two parts of this equation to get the economy back on track. Number one is cutting spending. You've got to reduce this huge overhang of debt that's suffocating the economy. And the other part is economic growth, and that means tax cuts and tax reform.
It's going to be about jobs. I mean, this entire election is going to be about jobs. You've got 14 million people still out of work today. You've got 6.5 million people that have been out of work 6 months or longer. Sean, everything's going to boil down to
I agree with you, but David Axelrod, the president's guru, says, this is not going to be a referendum on Obama. I say, au contraire. This is going to be all about Obama.
What do the poll numbers say?
No wonder he keeps saying, there are days, maybe I don't need a second term. My kids don't need to have their dad as president.
This is going to be a referendum on the incumbent president the way 1980 was a referendum on Jimmy Carter.
All right, guys, frightening numbers. I got to tell you, really scary times. And coming up, Operation Fast and Furious. It's the festering scandal that just keeps getting worse for the Obama administration. We'll check in with Michelle Malkin. Critics now are calling for the resignation of a top official, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. All those details coming up next. Darrell Issa was asked if he thinks that Melson should lose his job.
He should. He was part of the bad judgment. And when I say bad judgment, it wasn't just him. They had to go to justice to get money, to get FBI agents, all the other people that helped coordinate this, and to get the wiretaps they used. This was a program so stupid from the start.
Now, Issa also suggested that Attorney General Eric Holder knew of the scandal much earlier than he admitted to in sworn testimony. Now, earlier this afternoon, Holder met with the man who will most likely replace Melson. Now, that's ATF Chicago head Andrew Traver. Now, Traver, who, according to the L.A. Times, is close to Obama through their Chicago connections, was nominated by the president back in November to become the ATF director. But the NRA stalled his appointment due to, wait for this, his strong anti-gun rights stance. Joining me now with reaction to all of this is the author of Culture of Corruption, the #1 New York Times bestseller. Michelle Malkin is back. Michelle, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. Now, more than this, we have Issa referring to all of this as a lie, and he was asked very specifically if he thought the Justice Department was lying. That would be Eric Holder's Justice Department, and he said yes. So this could go very deep into the administration. This could be a cover-up. And first of all, what do you think?
Well, first of all, hats off to Congressman Issa on the House side and Charles Grassley on the Senate side, who've been on this for many, many, many months. We last talked about this in March on your show, Sean, and it was really just coming to a boil. I think that Congressman Issa's message is absolutely right, that getting Kenneth Melson out of the picture is really just the tip of the iceberg. And if ATF and the White House are going to make motions to clean house, then they really need to go far beyond that. And, of course, this goes to the acting deputy director, Billy Hoover, who was in on this, who was also intimately briefed, all of the management in Phoenix who were involved in Operation Fast and Furious. And then, of course, Eric Holder, the corruptocrats at the Justice Department, who've been stonewalling on the investigations, on subpoenas, on cooperating for months now, as well as the State Department, because both Congressman Issa and Charles Grassley, Senator Grassley on the Senate side, I believe, both have had problems with the State Department cooperating on their probes as well.
Well, the biggest problem they have is there are two kinds of cover-ups. I believe it was Grassley who said this. This is one in which you lie to people in order to mislead them. Now, they have letters that were sent to Congress that had a lot of redactions in them, and apparently they had some whistleblowers that gave them the actual letters. And they feel that the reason for the redactions were obvious. Issa even went as far as to say he didn't believe what Eric Holder had to say, and he said, when asked the question, if the Justice Department is covering up, he said, yes, I'd say that.
Yes, that's exactly right. And remember, we have to emphasize here that there are more than half a dozen brave ATF whistleblowers, other people who knew about the program, who've been warning from day one that this thing was going to spin out of control. You've got government malfeasance at the worst level possible. This is really, of all the scandals under the Obama administration, this is one of the most costly, not just from a financial standpoint, and tens of millions of dollars in stimulus money have gone to expand Fast and Furious and Project Gunner, but also costly in terms of lives lost, because we know that at least one Border Patrol agent, Brian Terry, was killed by a gun that was walked across the border. Is more appropriately called gun walker, not gun runner, as Second Amendment activists who've helped spread the word about the scandal emphasize. But there are possibly more, and that is the real daunting, bone-chilling reality here, that a program that was set up by anti-gun ideologues to try and stop weapons from going across the border was done, in fact, did the opposite, and with the sanction of the government and in defiance of those ATF rank and file who were warning that somebody was going to get killed. And that was the exact words that they said to these ATF managers.
Well, Brian Terry, the Border Patrol agent, was in fact killed. You know, it's almost unimaginable, because we're talking about 2,000 guns, including AK-47s. They had no intention of stopping them after they sold the guns, that they wanted to get to the drug cartel. If that was even their motivation, which I think is ill-advised to start with, I think there are other ways to